The stars shivered across the black silk sky of Outworld. A cold wind howled through the jagged obsidian towers of Chronica's keep, its eerie song echoing across time itself. Beneath the golden hourglass, cracked, glowing, pulsing like the heart of a dying god, Chronica stood still as stone, her hands clasped behind her back, her golden eyes narrowed. The multiverse had refused to bend. She had failed to mold it in her image. Liu Kang's ascension had ended her reign. But time, she knew, was not a straight line. It was a spiral, and the spiral always turned back upon itself. "There is another," she whispered to the void. The sands within the hourglass swirled madly as she reached toward it. An image surfaced, a young man in Jedi robes, fire in his eyes, blood on his hands, a chosen one in a galaxy untouched by her influence. A pivot point so powerful it warped entire timelines. His name whispered through every reality like a forbidden spell. Anakin Skywalker. In one life, he would become a hero. In another, a monster. In yet another, a god of war. Chronica watched them all. Timelines where he betrayed the Jedi, slaughtered younglings, and rose as Darth Vader, shadow of the Sith. In each, his choices unraveled or remade galaxies. He was not a threat. He was an anomaly. She would bring him into her design. Through him, the multiverse would be bound. She turned, golden energy crackling around her. "Shao Kahn," she said. From the shadows, the warlord emerged, enormous, armored in jagged bone and rusted iron, his hammer dragging across the floor with a low grind. "You summoned me, Time Witch," he snarled. "I offer you a new realm to conquer," she said smoothly. "One rich in power, full of warriors who call themselves Jedi, with temples of ancient energy, and a code that binds their power. They are ripe for the taking." Shao Kahn's grin cut like a rusted blade. "And who protects this realm?" Chronica gestured. The image shifted, Anakin igniting his lightsaber, cutting down separatist droids with feral grace. "A single warrior," she said, "but he burns brighter than all." Khan laughed low and cruel. "Then I will crush him first." Chronica opened the portal. A howling vortex tore through the keep, swirling with the sands of time, pulling Khan's legions, Tarkatans, revenants, sorcerers, into its heart. The invasion of the galaxy had begun. Meanwhile, in the galaxy far, far away, Mustafar burned red under twin moons. The war was nearing its end. Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker, cloaked in ash and pride, walked the halls of the Separatist stronghold alone. His blade hummed. Droids lay in pieces behind him. The galaxy was his to shape, but something rippled in the Force, a fracture. He froze. His eyes widened. The ground trembled beneath him, and then it opened. A crack in reality split the air before him, glowing with blue and gold fire. Through it, he saw another world. A world not his own. He saw monsters, warriors with skulls for faces, beasts with serrated arms, gods cloaked in thunder and fire. And in the heart of it all, a woman with no time in her eyes. "Anakin Skywalker," Chronica said, her voice drifting across dimensions like a whisper into his soul. "Come, see what fate you were denied." He didn't understand, not yet, but he stepped forward, and the hourglass turned. The council chamber had never felt smaller. A darkness had slithered through the halls of the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, something that didn't belong. Not a Sith presence, but something far older and hungrier. Outside, the skies rippled with unnatural storms. The Force itself felt like it had inhaled and was holding its breath. Master Windu stood at the center of the council, fists clenched, eyes narrowed. Entire systems gone dark. Refugees speak of monsters, beasts, fire, and metal. Obi-Wan Kenobi paced, his expression grim. These aren't droid armies. They don't negotiate, they burn. One Jedi cruiser sent to investigate, never returned. Yoda's ears twitched. This realm, this outworld, as survivors speak, echoes of ancient dark energies I sense. Anakin Skywalker leaned against the railing behind them, arms folded. He said nothing. He'd already seen them in his dreams, his visions, things that crawled through walls of reality, breaking apart time itself. He recognized the voice that had called to him on Mustafar, Chronica. She had shown him futures, fragments, possibilities. His wife alive, the Jedi victorious, the war over. And now, Shao Kahn had arrived. It began with the shattering of Alderaan, not by a superweapon but by hammer and horde. Tarkatans flooded the capital in howling waves, cutting through soldiers and citizens. Jedi who responded were torn apart, their lightsabers overwhelmed by sheer savagery. The Separatists, the Republic, even the Sith found themselves united by fear. Then came the message. It played on every frequency. It hijacked every holoscreen. Shao Kahn stood atop the crumbled ruins of Naboo's palace, his massive form cloaked in blood and iron, flanked by warriors who looked like nightmares made flesh. I am Shao Kahn, and this galaxy is weak. Its balance is illusion, its peace a lie. You have no champions, you have no gods, but I am merciful. He raised his warhammer. Behind him, a Jedi was dragged to his knees. You will offer your mightiest warriors in Mortal Kombat, a tournament. Your fate shall be decided not by fleets or treaties, but blood. And then he smashed the Jedi's skull on live broadcast. In the echo of death, the Jedi Council chose the unthinkable. We will answer this challenge, said Mace Windu, his voice like thunder. We will send our strongest, our chosen. The room turned to Anakin, the boy who was not a boy anymore. The man who had survived Mustafar, who had visions that bent the Force around him like gravity. Yoda nodded slowly. Go, you must. Stop the darkness, you will. Anakin didn't smile. He bowed. But deep down, he knew this was more than a fight. This was a test, not of strength, but of destiny itself. The tournament was held in a fractured dimension, a floating monolith suspended between time and space, where pieces of Tatooine's sand dunes merged with Netherrealm's scorched obsidian, where pod racers rusted beside the skeletons of ancient dragons. The Arena of Realms. Anakin arrived alone, flanked only by Chronica's silence. Other combatants stood across the blood-stained floor, Reptile hissing from the shadows, Melina gnashing her fangs, Kung Lao focused like a monk. There were Sith, bounty hunters, even General Grievous, rebuilt by Outworld sorcerers, made even more monstrous. Shao Kahn stood above them all. His voice boomed, begin. The first battle was swift and devastating. Anakin faced Kung Lao, whose speed was legendary, his hat a whirling blade of precision. For a moment, the Force and Shaolin mysticism danced in deadly rhythm. But Anakin was not here to dance. He was here to win. He caught the spinning hat midair with the Force, stopping it inches from his face. Then he lunged, his saber clashing with Lao's strikes in a blur of gold and blue. With a final push, he forced through Kung Lao into a stone pillar, not to kill, but to knock him out. Shao Kahn sneered. Mercy? Anakin only said, this isn't your kind of war. The next battle was grotesque. Devora emerged from Black Ichor, her insect limbs clicking. Your flesh will feed the swarm, she hissed. Anakin didn't answer. He simply ignited his saber. The fight was brutal. She spat acid, summoned hives, wrapped him in venomous webs. But Anakin fought like a flame in a hurricane. In the end, he hurled her into the sky and cut her down mid-fall. Shao Kahn's hammer struck the arena floor. "You are strong," but Chronica appeared behind Anakin once more. "You are more than strong," she whispered. "You are inevitable." That night, while the arena rested in silence, Chronica brought Anakin before the hourglass. She showed him again. Padme, alive. The Jedi never hunted. Palpatine banished to avoid. Peace, balance. All he had to do was claim it. But first, he had to win. She extended her hand. "You must take the final challenge. Face Raiden, the god of thunder." And Anakin, eyes set aflame by futures he both loved and feared, said, "Then bring him to me." The thunder cracked like the roar of a dying god. Anakin stood at the center of the arena, the ground split and glowing beneath him. Across from him, descending in a quiet beam of light, came the thunder god himself, Raiden, cloaked in robes that shimmered like the storm, eyes sparking with ancient knowledge and fury. "I know who you are, Skywalker," Raiden said, stepping forward, "and I know what you might become." Anakin didn't flinch. "Then you know I won't lose." The two warriors didn't exchange any more words. Lightning surged. The fight began. The air erupted with storms. Raiden launched across the field in a streak of white light, his fists pulsing with electricity. But Anakin met him halfway, saber clashing with energy that could melt Dura steel. Every blow sent shockwaves that shattered the earth, rippled through the air, and cracked the sky. Raiden spun midair, summoning a lightning dragon. But Anakin, faster, called upon the Force in a tidal surge, slamming the god against the pillars with such force the stone broke like paper. The Force and the thunder collided in a blinding supernova of blue and gold. But Raiden fought with purpose. Anakin fought with desperation. When it was over, Raiden knelt in defeat, smoke rising from his robes, his staff shattered. "Your strength," he coughed. "It blinds you." Anakin turned away, chest heaving. "Then you should have turned away." The audience of warriors, Outworlders, Netherrealm beasts, Jedi and Sith alike, fell into stunned silence. Chronica stepped forward. "It is time." The hourglass towered over them now, rotating slowly, sands bleeding like starlight. She reached out and placed her hand over Anakin's brow. Not a blessing, but a key. Anakin screamed. Time itself responded. A vortex of cosmic energy burst around him. Light and darkness, past and future, exploded through his body. The Force collided with Chronica's power. His vision stretched through moments that had never happened, lives never lived. He saw Padme dying. He saw her surviving. He saw himself as Vader. He saw himself as something else. When it ended, he hovered above the ground, hair flickering like flame, eyes radiant, veins glowing with the power of the timeline itself. Titan Anakin. And he knew everything. He saw the lie. He turned to Chronica, his voice a whisper, carried on a storm. "You didn't want peace. You wanted control." Chronica smiled. "And you wanted destiny. Now you have it." The betrayal felt like a blade through the soul. Anakin turned. In a blur, he appeared behind Chronica and snapped her neck. The timekeeper collapsed. The arena trembled, and the hourglass, unguarded, pulsed with infinite possibility. Anakin touched it, and the galaxy began to change. Worlds bent. Alderaan was never destroyed. Padme was saved. Palpatine was exiled to a void between time. The Clone Wars ended before the first blaster fired. The Jedi Temple stood tall, full of peace and laughter. Luke and Leia were born beneath Coruscant's twin suns. Obi-Wan smiled again, and Anakin stood not in armor, but in light, a warrior of will, a man who chose a better path. But he stood alone, for he was not of this world anymore. Out in the void, something stirred. From the ruins of Outworld, Shao Kahn changed, rose from the ashes, bones reforged with new cosmic rage. The merging of realms had left him broken but stronger. The tournament was never about balance. It was about power. And now, he would take it all back. The galaxy burned with possibility. Across Coruscant's new skyline, the people lived in peace. Star Destroyers were dismantled, clone troopers lived free of programming, and Jedi Masters taught without fear of betrayal. For the first time in countless eons, there was no war, only quiet. At the center of it all, Titan Anakin floated above the Jedi Temple. Not a man anymore, but a cosmic guardian, cloaked in the residual glow of the hourglass, the force emanating from him like heat from a sun. He had rewritten reality. He had saved everyone. But perfection is a fragile thing. It began with the cracks. The hourglass, no longer anchored by Chronica, pulsed with instability. Visions of timelines began to bleed through, merging fragments of past and future. Unknown energies surged through the Force. Old realities tried to reclaim themselves. And, through one of those fractures, Shao Kahn returned. But he was no longer merely a tyrant of Outworld. Now forged in the crucible of the broken multiverse, he was something more, Khan Eternal. He bore the essence of corrupted timelines, of failed realities, of every war ever lost. He landed on Coruscant like a meteor, shattering the temple courtyard with a single stomp. His warhammer crackled not with magic, but with time itself. Anakin descended from the sky to meet him, the force swirling around his fists like molten plasma. "You should have died with your realm," Anakin growled. Shao Kahn grinned. "Realms are temporary. War is eternal." Their collision was cataclysmic. The shockwave tore buildings from the earth, sent spires into the clouds. Civilians screamed as both beings moved faster than thought. Their blows distorting gravity, tearing the air into ribbons. Every punch from Anakin carried the will of 1,000,000 Jedi. Every strike from Shao Kahn cracked reality itself. They tore through hyperspace tunnels, mid-combat. They fought in the ruins of Mustafar, atop the ocean of lava where Anakin once died. They crashed into the past, through a vision of Luke Skywalker's future, changing nothing but threatening everything. And all the while the hourglass pulsed, now unstable, now screaming to be reset. Back on Coruscant, the Jedi scrambled to evacuate as thus the battle raged overhead. Padme, still alive in this rewritten world, watched from a safe zone, clutching the hands of Luke and Leia. Not infants, but young Padawans, trained early and strong. Yoda, old and wearied by the echo of too many histories, murmured, "If when he does not, no time there will be left." Above, in orbit, Anakin made his last move. The Force, now an extension of his very being, surged from him like a wave. Shao Kahn, laughing even through a broken jaw, raised his hammer to strike the final blow. But Anakin stopped it mid-swing with sheer will. "I chose this reality," he growled. "You don't belong in it." Shao Kahn roared, "You do not own destiny." Anakin's eyes flared with the fire of twin suns. "No, but I understand it." He ripped the hourglass from reality, absorbing its essence into himself, one final time, and unleashed it. A galactic burst, light, Time, energy, all exploded outward in a kaleidoscope of fractured timelines converging. Shao Kahn disintegrated, screaming into dust. Anakin dropped from the sky, unconscious, mortal once again. Epilogue. He awoke in the grass, soft light, no smoke, no ruins. Just Padme sitting beside him, her eyes filled with something deeper than relief. "Is it over?" she asked. Anakin nodded. The Jedi were alive. The Sith, a myth. The galaxy, reborn. And somewhere far from here, in the outermost edge of time, the shards of the hourglass floated, waiting, just in case. And from the shadows, a figure watched. Anakin Skywalker. Another version. One who had never become Titan. One who had once worn black armor and fallen far. But now, reborn by the fracture. He smirked. "This time," he whispered, "I get it right.